All right, 3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome on in. It's another week of Pro Wrestling Talk, STL, here on 590 The Fan, KFNS, 590thefan.com. Joe Roderick, John Marecek, here with you, as most of you probably listening on a Saturday morning or on the 590 The Fan app, but as a special treat to people, we're going live on Facebook for this, or on YouTube. I mean, on the Claibs Online YouTube page for the show today.
Hold up.
Because
I have the audio on
John,
the computer. There we go.
Hey,
look, there it is. I'm on the live on my other screen.
Yeah, John,
I'm trying to get this out here.
I'm on Radio Row in Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm glad that everybody gets to watch you on Radio Row and see just what an awful experience it is.
I found the one positive thing that has come from COVID. And that is Radio Row. Radio Row has spread out. They give you 2 tables.
What?
And we have 2 tables pressed together, and we are a good 10, 15 feet away from every other person.
Part of that, too, is probably you're in Phoenix, and you got a lot of stations that did not go. And you're in a big-ass convention center, right?
Yeah, but every time's been. The only time it has never been in a big ass convention center was in in Minnesota, when it was in the food court of the Mall of America.
For real?
Yes.
It seems like a terrible idea.
It was not conducive to big people.
Well, see, what's great is now hopefully there's pro wrestling fans who aren't football fans or follow this stuff. So if you look behind Joe, you'll see really what Radio Row is. It's talk show hosts doing nothing. Producers standing around trying to wrangle up guests, acting like they're doing something, and you do this for 8 hours a day for 5 days.
Some people do, yeah. Some people do. I've taken the Ben Boyd approach to how I'm working here this week.
You're a veteran. This is your 11th. I did 5 or 6, and the first one was cool. It was fun because it was new and it was different. And then the next year, it's like, wait a minute. These are all the people we talked to last year.
Yeah, John, I've realized this year that I've made the transition of becoming one of the younger people on here. Now I feel like I'm just like an old curmudgeon that's out here.
Yeah, because it's the same thing.
I feel like I've made that transition at some point in the last year, and I don't know when or how it happened.
So this is 11 years. You've had almost 55 days of the exact same thing with almost the exact same people. It never changes. Some of the people change. You get a bunch of former football players and some celebrities who are hired by companies to come and sell their wares or their medications or their foods or whatever it may be. And that's their way of getting you can get them on if they can come on and talk about their soup, or they can talk about some medications that they're selling, or maybe some shirts that they'd like to sell for some company that they don't care who the company is, but they'll just take. I once interviewed Icky Woods, who was selling Jack Daniels that week. It is the weirdest place.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. One person that did stop by, speaking of weird outfits, I guess, and we'll hear from him coming up on the show later on today, if you're listening on 590, is WWE superstar Seth freaking Rollins. He was here on Wednesday, and we had a nice little 8-minute chat, which you have not listened to yet, even though I've sent it to you about 24 hours ago. You have not listened to all of the great topics that we got into.
I will get to it. I didn't want to hear it before, because then I'd be able to tell you all about it, and I don't want to have stuff slip. I do want to know.
I wanted you to promote it. That's what I wanted.
I will
your
promote
side of
it. I don't need to
listen.
I don't need to listen to it to promote it. I do want to ask, because you're in a room filled with people who are unimpressed by mega superstar athletes, because they've talked to lots of them. They see them all the time. To have the greatest players in the history of sport walk through is not a huge deal. But when movie stars, musicians, wrestlers walk in that room, it's different. So when Seth Rollins, in his bizarro Seth Rollins gimmick, comes walking through the media center, Radio Row, what happens in that room?
I think I was supposed to have him on yesterday morning at 10:30. Did not end up having him on till 10:50, because there is a booth to the left of me over there that is a TikTok booth. It is just the people from TikTok are doing their thing.
That's
over
awesome.
there. And
boy, things have changed.
And they apparently grabbed Seth and would not let him go yesterday, and were making him do many TikToks for them. So that pushed him back at least 20 minutes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-year-old.
WWE was very apologetic, and I was like, I don't like, you guys are going to bring him here, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm
not going anywhere. Really, I'm going to bring him tomorrow. I'll be here.
Right. I'm sitting here. It's okay. I can sit here and I can wait for Seth to come over. Like, it'll be fine. And sure enough, he did. So that'll be coming up on the show in a little bit. I know for sure next week on the show, John, just due to the time of our show, time sensitive of our show when we have to get it out or produced. I will be talking to Tony Khan on Friday, and that will be part of our show next week here on Pro Wrestling Talk STL.
Is there a more diverse person that is walking Radio Row than Tony Khan, who could sit down and have a conversation about European football with this one station, and then he'll go over here and he's going to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars, and go over here to you and he's going to talk AEW, who you could probably steal more of his time than anyone else in that room, because he'd probably rather sit there and talk AEW with you than go anywhere and talk about anything else.
You don't think you think he'd rather talk AEW or Fulham?
He might actually want to talk ECW more.
If I asked him to marry, kill AEW, Fulham, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, what do you think his answer would be?
That's a really good question, and then he'd talk around it and not answer it.
He would not answer it.
He's very good at that. He would not
answer it. And then Danny Kurth would yell at me for asking that question too.
Right, and he never talked to Tony Khan again. Actually, if you started
when AEW, like, so it's a guy out of St. Louis, Danny Kurth, that helps book that, a good friend now over the years of his help with that, and he will always ask me ahead of time what the topics are, and I regret now not just writing back to him FMK.
Hey, I just had one pop in my head. Is it cool if we run this by him? I'm sure that's what he needs.
Should I text him that right now? And
Probably not. Imagine how hectic his job is with it. So he runs Dynamite last night and Rampage, and then he's got to get him here, get him to Jacksonville or to Phoenix, and get him settled, and then take him around Radio Row tomorrow. Sounds just like a wonderful couple of days for him.
Jim Woodcock did it last year and passed that off now.
Good for Woody. A veteran move.
Woody was probably here on Radio Row last year and remembered what it was like from years that he had been here before, and said, I think somebody younger could do it next year.
It's definitely a unique experience. One and done is plenty good. 5 or 6 and done was more than enough for me.
So, John, this week is always a weird week for me when it comes to actually watching wrestling, following wrestling. So I did not. I mean, everything I have seen has been just replays and stuff I've seen on social media from what I have seen this past week. So we'll talk a little bit about what was on the television these past few days coming up to end the show. Just kind of a look at what we know so far for the next few pay-per-view cards that we have coming out. So kind of a look at what the show has in front of you for today. But first off, Raw on Monday. It was a very, very noteworthy Monday Night Raw with some of the things that happened, whether you like them or not. Mm-hmm. And I think we start with the WrestleMania main event, which still it is the way we have yet to see Cody come face to face yet, which is good. I think that the anticipation of that, building up to that, it's going to be a really, really cool moment when they are finally in the ring looking at each other for the first time. But you had kind of they teased it a little bit with Paul Heyman and Cody in the ring.
And it was a really, really cool segment, and only 2 people could have pulled it off. And it was those 2 people. And again, you're going to say this with a lot of this whole story, I think, for at least a little while, whether you like it or not. Because there's 2 different ways to see this. One, the promo or the segment. I mean, I don't even know, is it a promo? It was like 2 guys talking, and about their past. Like that was a segment that they could have had without even having to script anything out and just having a discussion. Two people who've known each other all of Cody's life, and a guy who has had a big impact on their family, and Paul Heyman. My only issue with the whole thing, and I think the whole thing was it was take it for what it was. That moment in the ring, it was amazing. It was emotional and it was awesome. But that whole segment had almost absolutely nothing to do with Roman Reigns and the main event of WrestleMania. They didn't sell the main event of WrestleMania. And I know the mic drop moment at the end when Paul Heyman says, one of the last conversation that I had with your father, he told me that you were his favorite son and that Roman Reigns was the son he wished he had had. And drops the mic, and that was amazing. That was an awesome end to that promo. But it's Paul Heyman, Dusty, and Cody. It's not a personal issue with Roman Reigns. I know we'll get there. We have to get there at some point. But it's like 2 weeks in a row, we're still Dusty, 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 Dusty. They said Dusty's name 20-something times in the promo. This is like we're building to a match with Dusty and Roman and not Cody and Roman.
Is there a risk of turning the fans against Cody with all of these emotional promos that they keep having him go out and cut?
I think there is. That was the first thing I texted you. Was, oh, here we go again. It's another Dusty promo. And the Dusty angle, it's a neat story. But what Paul Heyman said in that promo too, this isn't about Dusty, Cody. This is about you. Cody's story on its own without his father being attached to it is incredible. His journey from Stardust to going on the independents, changing that whole scene to the point where a whole new company starts and then coming back, that story stands by itself on its own and why he wants to come back for himself. We don't need anything else, but it seems like that's all we're getting. And yeah, I think like with Bray, how many weeks in a row did Bray do the same promo? And then it ended with the lights going out in the voice. And after a while, it's like, okay, we get it. Can we get something else? Can we get a different part of the story? That never happened, really. It still hasn't happened or evolved enough. So, yeah. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that could happen? Plus the whole Cody persona.
I do. Too. I think that it's already there. As I watch it now, I see it's just the same thing over and over again. And I want to see some sort of evolution in all of this. I want to see Cody take another step, which I don't think we can get until the two of them face each other. But I think it's the same promo week after week, and nothing new is being told. Maybe you bring, Dustin is under contract with AEW. So you can't do anything with that. You can't bring Brandy into any of this because that's instant heat.
Yeah.
That won't help anything at all. Fans will boo Brandy right out of the building. So I don't know what the next step is for this. I think right now it's a shame that Cody does not have a match at the Elimination Chamber as of right now. I think that's a mistake.
Who do you put him with, though? There's no time.
I think honestly,
if you do it to do it now.
So we'll get into it, but I mean, I think putting him in a match against Finn Balor would have been good. I think something like that would have made sense. I think maybe having Cody, Edge, and Ray against Finn, Damian Priest, and Dom, I think would have been an interesting match to watch.
I see what you're saying.
I think that would have been the play.
You have something. You have something.
Honestly,
something to do.
And figure out how to go an entire match without Dom and Ray actually. But you started the build for it last week. You started that the way Raw ended last week, you could have easily pushed that into this week.
You could have easily from the beginning.
You could have made that happen.
You could have had him do the promo the night after the Rumble, and then Finn come out and give him crap about stealing the Bullet Club, and just drag that all the way out to Elimination Chamber, and then that gives him something to do instead of like, yeah, you're right. I mean, we're talking, and then that keeps him away the Sammy thing separate, and it keeps Roman and Sammy all over there, and then Cody's got his own thing to deal with before he gets to Roman, because the Roman thing's going to happen no matter what happens. So we can wait on that, get to this. Yeah, that would have that's a way that you could have done that takes a lot of the pressure off of Cody, who has, because it's already started. Now he's got 2 months that he has to do this, and that's a lot to ask for a guy who is on his own on that show, with the other guy dealing with the biggest baby face in the whole business right now.
You know, I've done a lot of fantasy booking this week while on Radio Row, right over there, right over my right shoulder over there, folks from Talk Sport over in the UK. Nice. And Will Gavin, one of the hosts for that, does a lot of wrestling shows in the UK and covers a lot of events. And we had fantasy booked out how WWE could have brought Rey Mysterio around here to do interviews on Radio Row, and had Dom jump him and attack him in the middle of Radio Row, and how that would have how that could have gone over as far as a viral event would have been.
God, that would have been so. What really would have been even better is if they didn't run it by the league. They just flat out did it. Oh, it would be phenomenal. But the league, it would be great, just because I'd like to see what some of the guys on the on Radio Row would have their response and their faces when this happened. When Dom and Rhea Ripley start walking in.
Yeah, like you set it up with that. Like you have the table.
You do it on McAfee's show.
Yeah, you do it. Yeah, you do. That's where you do it. You have it on McAfee's show. But better, I mean, you expect an angle like that at McAfee's show, right?
Oh,
I would have volunteered. I would have volunteered. I should have reached out to them and been like, hey, if you guys want to bring Ray out here and have Dom jump him, please do it at my table.
You can do whatever you want to me, to my equipment, whatever.
Run it by Trips and see if what he thinks of that.
If you talk to Pat tomorrow, you need to run this by him.
Son of a, you know what? I have Bruce Pritchard's number. I should have texted Bruce this idea.
That's true.
The fact that I'm just like, there's not time. It's Thursday. It's 2:15 on Thursday.
Pat McAfee found out he was at the Royal Rumble, going to the Royal Rumble to broadcast the day before. He can dock this. This is like a 5-minute thing that they do. You think that Dom and Rhea couldn't come in and just knock that out real quick? This is cake for them.
I don't know where they are right now. Like, if I were to say, hey, yeah, can you put Dom and Ray on a plane out here to Phoenix and let me have them on my show and have them jump each other?
Yeah, no problem. That would have been really, really good. I just can't.
Why did we not? See, these are things when I'm speaking of these ideas, I need you to jump in with and add it in there. You know my contacts. You know I could have easily had this done.
I don't think of that. I forget you at one time were very heavily involved in the business.
Don't say it like that.
Still in the business, but at one time was on a very high level within the business.
No, I had a much better relationship with people who were at a much higher level. That was what it was. Yes.
The key
that
is
I could text people and say, hey, give me a call, and they would.
It's true.
Now I feel like if I were to text Bruce and be like, hey, give me a call, he'd say, who is this?
You might want to run it through Conrad first.
Exactly, yes, or Dave Green.
I forgot about Dave Green. Now you were talking about heavily involved in the business.
Right, yes.
He's not sure what wrestling is, but he's very involved.
He knows the names, yeah.
He does. He's got his picture with Cody.
Little insights. So out here, I did try to get Dave, and I was going to run PR for it. I tried to get him to send Kevin Nash out here this week.
That would have been great.
Yeah, I was working real hard for a few months on that to go down, and it just never happened.
Everybody would know who Kevin Nash is. He walks in that building.
Exactly. So, John, that was not the main event of Raw this past week. The main event was the cage match that we've been waiting for since Raw XXX between Becky Lynch and Bayley, which Seth and I do talk about the Becky and Bayley situation and the fact that his name has been dragged into it. We do discuss that, and you'll hear that coming up in just a little bit. But that set up another match at Elimination Chamber, another rumored match at Elimination Chamber because of how things ended on Monday Night Raw.
It was an awesome cage match, and I was excited. I know people walk away from that show about Cody and Heyman, and maybe were hard to get the emotions back up after that segment, which I understand. But that cage match, Bayley and Becky, I was psyched about it. I was pissed when they canceled it the 2 weeks before. I would have been really hot if I'd have paid money to go watch the dang show that was on the card, and they got rid of it. I mean, you can't not deliver a cage match. They delivered a very good cage match and a garbage finish, which just, and the question I have for you, and this, we were 2 weeks ago talking about how awesome it was to see that men's Royal Rumble have one guy who doesn't work consistently. And I'm going to throw Brock and Edge out of that list because they do work consistently. They may be part-time. They're not full-time guys, but they both work a few times a year, a few programs a year, and they're around for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks when they come in and do those programs. So I don't count them. But why in the hell, when you've got Becky and Bayley, two of your best from NXT all the way through, the leaders of this whole growth, two of the leaders of the growth of women's wrestling, and you have to bring Lita out for absolutely no reason. There was no reason at all. It was so random. Just Lita just happens to be here, and now she's helping. Like, she has no, there's no issue that would make her be there or to be part. I don't understand why. Why does she need to be there? Fans loved it, and that's fine. And it wasn't for me. I didn't like it.
The fact it was a surprise.
Of course, that's which everybody likes surprises, right?
Nobody read anywhere. I don't think anybody any rumors I have read about WrestleMania. I've never once seen Lita's name. I haven't seen the other rumor now is that Trish might be involved in this. Trish Stratus might be involved in this. I haven't seen her name listed anywhere until Lita appeared. So the fact that this is happening and it was kept quiet, pretty neat, I guess. But still, why? I think it's the big reason. Like, there weren't other women that you could have used to help get this over if you are trying to go 3-on-3 for this. And does this 3-on-3 mean that you couldn't do my idea that I just pitched to you of Judgment Day against a random trio of Cody, Edge, and Ray?
Well, isn't there someone who you could help elevate by putting?
Aren't you trying to elevate Piper Niven right now?
Shoot, that's a great one. That would have been a phenomenal one. You put her in that match with Becky and Bayley,
who has a relationship with Becky. Mm-hmm. They go way back.
Yeah,
isn't that something that you could do?
To me, I think that would be that would make sense. But so that's the thing. It's like, what other than trying to sell tickets? And I would think that this show in Montreal is sold out, or at least pretty close. But if it's not,
you don't need. And plus, once you announce Sammy's in the main event for the title, like that, if you can't sell that out, then I mean, for as hot as Sammy is right now,
I mean, I get tired. It's just they rely so much on people from the Attitude Era, and it's nothing against Lita, it's nothing against Trish. It's just all of them. Like, use the people you have, the people who are going on the road, the people who you need to take this company forward, and not constantly going back and bringing someone back. Like, if John Cena works at WrestleMania, like, why? You don't need John Cena.
Because you need to have John Cena versus Austin Theory at some point.
Don't. You do not need that.
Yeah, you do.
No, you don't.
That needs to happen at some point. Yeah. No. That needs to happen at some point.
You don't need that. And this will really irritate you. You don't need the Rock and Roman. You don't have to have it. Everything is fine without it.
Rock needs to face Roman at some point.
Everything is just fine.
The last match that The Rock ever agrees to should be against Roman Reigns.
Well, if there's another match that he agrees to, yes, you're right. I don't think he ever needs to agree to another match.
He owes it to the
He owes no one nothing.
He owes it to me.
He owes no one anything.
This notebook that The Rock gave me is not enough.
Did The Rock give that to you, or did Stully give that to you?
I mean, Stully's the one that handed it to me, but I mean,
The Rock
he might
gave
as
it
well.
to him.
Yeah, when he gave it to me, he might as well have said, "Hey, courtesy of Dwayne."
Got you.
Yeah,
got you.
Same with this Battlehawks T-shirt I'm wearing underneath.
That's nice.
Yeah.
The Rock made those at his house.
Cacaw. Yeah,
He's got a heat press at his.
it's $7 ranch.
He's got a screen print machine just rolling down out in the shed. But don't you get tired? I mean, at what point does it stop? Like, it's like, okay, we got to bring so-and-so back because we think they're going to sell tickets. Or we'll bring so-and-so back. We bring Trish back in Montreal to try and sell tickets. Like,
I don't know, but bringing Cena back at WrestleMania isn't trying to sell tickets.
Yes, it is. Of course it. You think any of these people coming back?
I think you're getting views. No, you're getting more. I mean, you're getting more views for it.
Well, here's the other thing with Cena going to say Cena at WrestleMania. You don't need him. That place is almost sold out for 2 nights. Why waste him?
I just think it's because it's WrestleMania and you're just doing it for that. Hey, we need to take a break. We haven't gotten any AEW stuff yet. We will do that too. As we sit here, I'm on Radio Row in Phoenix, Arizona. John is back in St. Louis. We are brought to you by Central State Sandwiches, a new sandwich and appetizer food truck opening in 2023. But hey, if you don't want to wait for that food truck, Thursday nights, head on out to Bootleggin' Bob's at 3457 Morganford Road in Tower Grove South. They're slinging Sammys there from 7 to midnight each and every Thursday. That includes the chopped cheese, my favorite, and a bevy of others. I'm bringing up because I know he has been posting the sandwiches that he is making. That's Kyle over there at Central State Sandwiches. They have the chopped cheese, they have a chicken bacon ranch, and they have a beef sandwich, seared and braised top round beef, shredded and topped with house jardiniere on a hoagie, served with a side of au jus. But my favorite, the chopped cheese. That's crispy tri-blend of beef, American cheese, shredded lettuce, tomato, and sauce on the side. For that, just delicious. And if you want to find them for parties or events, go to centralstatesandwiches.com. That's centralstatesandwiches.com. We will take a break. When we come back, final segments. When we come back, it'll be Seth Rollins. And then when we come back after that, it'll be our final segment right here on Pro Wrestling Talk, STL 590 The Fan, KFNS 590thefan.com.
There was a guy who walked by, looked like Conrad.
There's a guy that's walking around, looks like Ben Boyd.
Is he not there?
No.
Oh. Well, who's going to take pictures with all the people? Who the hell's that guy on your right shoulder?
I don't know who that is.
That's a big dude.
That's what Fred Slow and I were talking about, how we should just run a camera every day and we should just sit here at this table and just talk and just riff.
Oh, I'd watch that.
As we watch.
I'd watch that. I'd watch that all day. That would be on my computer all day.
We'll do that tomorrow then.
I would sit that. You got to be super careful doing that, but I would watch the hell out of that. That was the best part of Radio Row was me, Jay, Fish, and Puddin' with headsets on just talking about everybody else. That was the show. That was the good show.
We have to go 15 minutes.
Cut.
In this segment, and we will do so in 3, 2, 1. Back here, PWT STL. It's 590 The Fan, KFNS, 590thefan.com. Joe Roderick here with you from Radio Row in Phoenix. John Marecek is back home. 1 hour every week of wrestling talk here on the 590 airwaves. You just heard our interview with Seth freaking Rollins, a chat with him here on Radio Row. Next week on the show, set to be joined by president of AEW. He is Tony Khan. So we'll talk with him next week and have looking forward to the conversation with him about everything wrestling related going on with AEW coming to town in March? Yeah, in March when
we got a
they're
very
coming
cool
over.
stretch right there where you've got Dynamite with Rampage, Raw, Dynamite in Kansas City, and Glory Pro locally has an event. I don't know. Do you know what day the Glory Pro event is?
I have to
I don't
look.
even know that they've released the date yet.
They have.
Okay.
Well, maybe they've told me, and I know I've put it out there, but it's in the middle.
Yeah, I don't think that I shouldn't say I don't think. Last time I had checked, which had been a little while ago.
Yeah, so that is that's what we have coming up wrestling wise for that. We'll have tickets to give away here on Pro Wrestling Talk STL for those shows too. And you know what? I bet I have enough pool to where I can get tickets from Corey for Glory Pro to throw in there.
Well, you still are in the business when it comes to Glory Pro.
I am. Yeah, I am. I'm on the payroll when it comes to Glory Pro.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Let's see. March 18th. No, that's not it. We'll find the day. We'll tell everybody.
It's again, if I wanted to look here, I had an interview scheduled for 2:30 that I completely forgot about. And now I have to go back and look at who it is.
Is it on the list you sent me?
Sure isn't.
No.
Sure isn't.
That's okay.
Now
That's a shame. You're going to miss out on Pat McAfee.
but I'm going to find out who it is, and I'll tell you in a second. But John, AEW last night saw a title change, and a really well done way to where when the match was made, we all assumed that the Ass Boys or the Guns were going to win. By the way, that was Jake Plummer that just walked behind me.
Okay, I was trying to figure out it was a camera crew. See, you can have a camera crew, then Dom could have come.
Yeah. So you knew the title change was going to happen. Everybody assumed that Billy Gunn was going to turn and rejoin his sons, right?
Yes.
And that didn't happen.
No, a lot that happened didn't.
It was really well done.
It was awesome.
So you were a fan of what you saw?
I loved it. I thought the whole thing was great. They took the biggest baby faces in that company and made them bigger and made the Guns. MJF's the most hated, but these two just took another huge step. I mean, you saw the reaction of the fans. Not only was there disbelief, there was hatred for the Guns. And that's really hard to do these days. They shocked the audience and made them angry in a good way.
And somehow allow Billy Gunn to stay with the Acclaimed, or does that move end up happening?
Well, the story continues. They could have thrown all of it in one shot, and they don't have to do that. And now that story can continue to evolve. Eventually, yes, he has to go back to his kids. Absolutely. That's the whole. I think that's the whole long game of the story. Eventually, but it's how you get there. And I'm not sure totally how you get there. The problem is that everybody loves Billy Gunn.
Right.
And they don't like his kids at all.
Jericho wearing the Scissor Me Daddy Ass shirt.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, really, how do you do that? How do you take somebody who's a beloved icon for many years in the business, from one of the most popular groups in the history of pro wrestling, Billy Gunn, and make him bad again? Like, I don't know how you make that.
You make the turn so emotional that people have to, that they will boo him out of the building, and it will be so loud in there. And you have to find the right city to do that too.
That's true. Which means you can't be in a WWE city. You have to be in a city. Else.
You have to be in a city that absolutely loves and adores the Acclaimed.
Which is pretty much everyone. It's still fascinating to me. And this is one of the best stories that they have going in the whole company.
Yeah.
And it may be the best that's going on right now in that whole company. And those guys come out And that whole place, the siren hits and the whole place explodes. There are not many in the whole
at home.
business.
At home when it happens. Yeah, at home when it happens, I grab my remote and I put the volume up.
Yeah, because you don't want to
add 10
miss
to
Max.
15 on the volume. No, I want to hear word for word what he is about to say in that situation. Every week, I want to hear how current he makes it. He makes that every week. So it is. Yeah.
Somebody tweeted out yesterday that they get all their current news from Max Caster's raps.
And you know what? And any of his political jokes go on both sides of the aisle too. So
That's true.
I mean, he does it both. You can't get mad at him one way or another because wait a few weeks and he'll go after the other guy. So it's wonderful.
He's an amazing talent. And you know,
Yes.
at some point they're going to turn and it's going to be ugly and nasty and it's going to be awesome. It'll be awesome. And I don't think you can double turn these two, but yeah, I don't know where the end is other than Billy Gunn. But no, it's everything they did last night. I thought was really, really well done because it's hard to shock audiences today and to shock that audience that pays attention more than anybody other pro wrestling audience out there. They pay attention to everything, read everything, and they got him.
So talking about ugly, nasty, the Daniel Bryan match. That was a lot of blood again for Daniel Bryan in that match.
See, you don't like that. I grew up on that, and this is again.
I'm fine with it in certain match. I don't, a random where there's right over my shoulder. Hey, look who it is! Look who it is right there.
Where? Who's that?
It's
Howard Balzer.
It is Howard Balzer right there.
There he
Howard
is.
Balzer. Yeah. He's talking to his friends, his new friends from Arizona.
He knows everyone in the building.
Well, he works here in Arizona. He works here in Phoenix now. So
it's got to be weird for him. Super Bowl at home, first time ever.
I know. He got to wake up in his own bed and come down here and cover the Super Bowl.
So strange.
Yeah. So the fact it took you that long to realize that was the H-Man is
I'm
really
not watching everybody behind you. I'm listening to you. I'm paying attention.
Pointing at him. I was pointing at H.
Well, I know. Well, I haven't seen Howard in person in like 5 years.
He hasn't changed.
Of course he hasn't. He didn't change in the 10 years that I saw him all the time here. Is Bernie there?
I think she's been feeling under the weather this week, so has not made her way up here. I know.
And she'll be in the media center.
Let me talk to you about about this because on a random Wednesday night against Roosh, Daniel Bryan doesn't need to bleed. There is nothing about that match that he needs to bleed and just have a crimson mask on the entire match.
But doesn't it add to this whole winning 7 matches and how grueling it is and how challenging it is, and it just it doesn't need to be there all the time. I understand. I get it with you what you're saying. But it adds to it. And if it adds to the struggle and the fight that he's going through, and that here we are, however many weeks we're into this, and he's got this bloodied face and it's happening all the time and he's struggling to get through it, it just adds to the emotion. I don't think it's gratuitous. I think it is for the story.
Something is going, because we saw once again, MJF locks him in a room before the match, doesn't let him come out, tries to get him to win by forfeit. It's the same thing over and over and over again. Every time MJF has an opponent, he makes him jump through hoops and do this. And then we're going to get to the match, and it's a 60-minute Iron Man match that these two are going to put on. And I'm not, you can't take the belt off of MJF, right?
Of course you can. Why not?
You think you could?
Of course. If you're going to have Bryan Danielson do it, yes. And then it continues, and then they can take it back. I don't think it ends MJF in any way or hurts him in any way if he loses the belt and then cries and screams and complains for 2-3 months before he can win it back. I don't think that doesn't hurt anything. I think that's totally fine. What I don't like is Iron Man matches. I think they're stupid.
If told, they can be told. They can. The story can be told. When's the last time we had a 60-minute Iron Man match?
I don't know. I don't remember. A 60, I don't remember. But I'm never a fan of them because it doesn't matter. Nothing matters until the end. A 60-minute time limit match, that goes 60 minutes unexpected, that's awesome. But saying that you're going to go 60 minutes and you're going to have a number of pinfalls, then what the first 55, what do they mean?
Yeah.
Not going to say that. I won't say that it's not going to be an amazing match to watch. It probably is. Those two guys are going to put on a show. I fully expect that. But it's 55 minutes for show, knowing that there's a time limit at the end.
Do we have any other matches set for AEW Revolution? It's March 5th. It is in less than a month. Do we have any other matches right now for that?
You mean that are actually set in stone?
Yeah.
Like in an actual card for the event?
Yeah.
Not like things that might happen? No.
There's
zero.
That's only one right now.
There are 0.
That's the only one listed.
And that's fine. Right, you've got a month. They've got plenty of time. And this is the biggest story in the company. And this is the story that that deserves the most attention. And there's plenty of time to get everybody else in there.
Yeah. So Elimination Chamber, which is coming up in a week from today, John, is when that's coming up. 4 matches on that card right now. We know it is Austin Theory defending his United States Championship against Seth freaking Rollins, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, and Montez Ford. I like that list of names in there because that is a good list of secondary guys going for the U.S. title outside of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins obviously is one of the top 3 faces in the company, but everybody else on that list should be going for the U.S. title. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I think it gives those guys an opportunity to shine. And I think that's the one thing about this pay-per-view being between the Rumble and WrestleMania is if you do it this way, and it gives a chance to shine a light on guys who maybe aren't going to be at the top of the card at WrestleMania, and it gives those guys an opportunity to not be a focal point or even back off for a few weeks because they know that they're going to go full bore after the Elimination Chamber with all of their top guys every week being featured on the show.
You also have the Elimination Chamber match for the women for the chance to face the Raw Women's Champion at WrestleMania. Asuka, Liv Morgan, Nikki Cross, Raquel Rodriguez, Natalya, and Carmella. I like that list too. I don't know who. I don't know who wins that one.
I don't either.
Yeah, I can tell you who's not going to win it, but as far as who would win it, I don't know who that is.
I don't know for sure who's going to win either of them, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's not going to be Natalya. It's not going to be Carmella or Nikki Cross.
Probably
neither one of those
not.
three is getting a championship match at WrestleMania.
Probably not.
And then the one that surprises me is the Edge Beth Phoenix match versus Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. That I knew that match was going to happen. I thought it was going to happen at WrestleMania. Obviously, it can't with Rhea Ripley now being in the championship match.
Which is good. Do we really need this too? I mean, I guess this is going back to when they both got knocked out. So this has to happen in some form at some point, I guess. I get that almost like closure for the story, but it's like,
I don't think you get good closure for the story because I think you get Edge versus Finn Balor at WrestleMania.
Closure on this portion of the story.
Yeah.
The part of the story that includes Beth Phoenix.
I think we get the Demon. I think we get the Demon Finn Balor back at WrestleMania.
That would be awesome. That would be fantastic. That would be Triple H.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time since we had him, and I think that's what we will get. So,
how many minutes is that going to take? It's a long walk.
At least Edge runs down to the ring, so that'll be a little quicker.
Fair point.
Hey, that's going to wrap it up for our show this week, John. Glad that you got to watch behind me for the past 45 minutes or so at all of the happenings going on here from the Phoenix Convention Center in Phoenix, Arizona, the home of Super Bowl 57. And we hope you, the listener, enjoyed this unique show as well. Different than anything that we've done in the past. There's Trey Wingle behind me too.
Oh my gosh, there he is. Yeah. On the air in St. Louis again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I said hi to. I saw him at the stadium the other day. Told him.
Frank says hi.
He told me to tell Frank hi. Told me to tell Claves hi. So
of course, the only two people in St. Louis sports that matter, Claves and Frank. No one else matters. Bernie Nicholas would be the third. That's it.
I texted it to Frank. I texted Frank, and he gave me a thumbs up back.
Very
So,
nice. Wonderful.
yeah. That's going to do it for our show today. It is Pro Wrestling Talk, STL, each and every Saturday right here on 590 The Fan. KFNS and 590thefan.com. Talk to you next week, everybody. All right, I got to go do this.